This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what you need to know today. The Armenian government has earmarked about $191,000 to provide nearly 30 tons of desperately needed food and medicine to Palestinians in Rafah, Gaza's southernmost city, as the war between Israel and Hamas grinds toward its 6th month. Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan approved the measure at his weekly cabinet meeting today. It comes just weeks after Pashinyan first indicated plans to send humanitarian aid to Gaza on a visit to Egypt, which he said would help coordinate the delivery without providing any further details. "We ourselves have experienced the horror of attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure," the Prime Minister said at the time. Armenia supports an immediate ceasefire to the war and a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, he added. In addition, Pashinyan slammed remarks by Nagorno-Karabakh's former leader claiming to lead a government in exile, calling the comments a national security threat that must be addressed. "There can be no other government in Armenia apart from the Armenian government, and if anyone else in Armenia identifies themselves as a government, it is a national security matter," Pashinyan told ministers at today's cabinet meeting. "This cannot remain unanswered," he added. In an exclusive interview yesterday with France's Le Figaro newspaper, former Nagorno-Karabakh president Samvel Shahramanyan, who now lives in Armenia, said he considers himself the leader of a government in exile, marking his clearest remarks on the matter to date. Senior officials in Pashinyan's administration have previously warned that Azerbaijan could use the formal creation of a Nagorno-Karabakh government in exile in Armenia as a pretext to attack the country. First of their kind three-way talks between Armenia, the European Union, and the United States next week will be focused squarely on economic and humanitarian issues. That's according to the spokesperson for the U.S. State Department, who confirmed the agenda yesterday. The talks will regard U.S. and EU support for Armenia's economic resilience as it works to diversify its trade partnerships and address humanitarian needs, Matthew Miller told reporters. He added that spiraling tensions with Azerbaijan over 4 ruined border villages will not be the focus of the meeting. The planned talks between Armenia's Prime Minister, the leader of the European Union, the United States top diplomat, and the head of the U.S. Foreign Aid Agency have prompted concern in Azerbaijan. Yesterday, a spokesperson for that country's diplomatic service warned the EU and U.S. will share responsibility for any future outbreaks of violence in the region. Asked to respond, Miller, the State Department spokesperson, said yesterday, "I fail to see why the meeting would be escalatory or would be of concern to any country in the world." Pashinyan is slated to meet with the European Union's Ursula von der Leyen and Antony Blinken and Samantha Power from the United States in Brussels next Friday. Armenia's parliament speaker, a close Pashinyan ally, has said his country is as of now not considering applying to join the EU, while leaving the possibility open it may do so at a later date. "We are not discussing the issue of EU membership at this point," Alen Simonyan told a scrum of reporters yesterday. "We have a lot of work to do in Armenia so that we wouldn't have to wait to join the same way Turkey and Georgia have been waiting for years," he added. Continuing, Simonyan confirmed Armenia's decision earlier this month to expel Russian border guards from the country's main airport is final and will not be reconsidered, while insisting the government is not considering ousting a separate group of Russian border guards deployed to the borders with Turkey and Iran. At the same time, though, he questioned their effectiveness, saying, "If Turkey decides to invade Armenia, I very much doubt that the Russians would be able or willing to protect us." Meanwhile, the spokesperson for Russia's foreign ministry said yesterday her country does not use the term corridor to describe a potential transit route connecting mainland Azerbaijan and its Nakhichevan exclave via Armenia. "Please note that we do not use the term Zangezur or corridor," Maria Zakharova told reporters. "We are talking about a route connecting the western regions of Azerbaijan to Nakhichevan through the territory of Armenia's Sunik region," she added. The Russia-brokered ceasefire declaration that ended the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war calls for all economic and transport connections between Armenia and Azerbaijan to be reopened, including a route overseen by Russian border guards to guarantee the unobstructed movement of persons, vehicles, and cargo between mainland Azerbaijan and Nakhichevan through Sunik. Azerbaijan says it wants that route, which it refers to as the Zangezur corridor, to be out of Armenia's control and has repeatedly threatened to use force if Armenia does not comply. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 300. That's the total number of martial arts athletes from around the world who are expected to arrive in Armenia next week to compete in this year's World Sambo Championships. In related news, the head of Armenia's Sambo Federation announced yesterday the International Sambo Federation had officially given Armenia permanent hosting rights, meaning from now on the country will host the tournament every year. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.